Hey Potters, welcome back to the Pottery Plus studio. It's great to see you. As promised, we're gonna do a video this week over pricing, and I've thought so much about this over the last couple of weeks, and I kind of decided that I wanted to keep this video kind of brief and just give you a few steps that you can take to starting off with your pricing. And then if you have questions from there or anything like that, we can maybe go into a little bit more in-depth video later. But pricing is so nuanced, and I haven't done a video on this topic before, so I just thought I would start with something kind of simplified and easy and short so that you can get a little bit of information to start with, and then we can just take it from there. So I kind of broke it down into 3 steps, and of course, you guys, pricing, it's more than just a little quick 3-step process, but again, I'm just kind of trying to give a starting point, and then we can see where it goes from there. So step 1 that you can try to begin pricing your work is look around at other artists who are making similar work to you and put together kind of a range. It's not necessarily copying other artists' prices, because humans are human, and you're gonna find different people pricing their work in really different ways. But if you can find that range, so the lowest, the highest, and then it's probably smart to pick a number in between there of work that is similar to what you're making and selling, that is going to be a good starting place. And unfortunately, with finding your range, like I said, it can be extremely broad, but it's good information to gather. And then most likely your correct pricing is going to be somewhere in the middle of the people who are charging the highest and the lowest for work that is similar to yours. And friends, when I say similar, the similarities you really need to keep your eye out for are scale or size. So people who are making work similar in size to yours. I know that sounds crazy, friends, but pricing with pottery is very affected by size. So it's kind of a weird thing, but your biggest price fluctuations that you will see out there are, mostly dependent on size. Very large works go into the thousands of dollars, but where like a coffee mug never would. So that's something to put into your list of similarities that you're looking for when looking for artists who are making similar things to what you're making, is the size. Also, the techniques. So techniques or processes, you kind of want to find a similarity when you're creating your range for yourself. And then also experience level. If you're a first or second year potter, it's probably not going to be reasonable to compare your work to someone who's a lifelong potter and has been doing it for like 40 years or something, okay? So those are the similarities that I'm talking about when I'm saying to put together your range with artists who are kind of in the same space as you are, okay? So that's the first thing, is put together your range. From there, you're going to kind of get a little more technical about it, and you're going to get into the maths a little bit. And this is the part where you're going to want to calculate your cost and your labor. So your cost is going to be, basically the cost is your output to make your product. So like what you pay to make your product. So that would be the cost of your clay, glazes, and tools. Any firing costs that you're incurring, whether you're firing your own work or paying someone else to. If you're enrolled in any type of an educational institution or paying like a studio fee for a group studio, that would be part of your cost as well. And you can even factor in commuting. If you have a long commute to wherever it is that you're working, factor that in. There's no reason not to. And then your labor is how much time you put into making each piece and how much you're paying yourself per hour for that amount of time. So if it takes you 1 hour to make one coffee mug, and this is a very simplified example of this, but if it takes you 1 hour to make a coffee mug, you would add on your costs for all of the supplies to make that. And then on top of that, you would add your 1 hour's worth of labor. So let's say for you, that's $20. So you would add $20 onto the cost, and then that would be the price of your mug. Now, it's really hard to figure out that labor piece though, because in a market where you're essentially paying yourself through your pricing, it seems so arbitrary. Like, well, what do I pay myself? I'm an artist. I know there's a value in that, but but also, you know, you want to get sales, so you don't want to go too high. So this is how I have kind of been thinking about this over the last couple of days, that I think is a good, again, starting place. Is if you're a first or second year potter, so you're just kind of starting out, but you're getting into sales, figure out what in your area or your market is a livable wage, and then make that your hourly labor cost that you apply when you're doing your pricing. Okay? It's a good place to start. It's fair, but it's also not going to be like you're overpricing your work right out of the gate. I think it finds a happy medium to apply that idea, but also I think it combats the effects of underselling, because like I see so many people doing that. But the thing about that is that if it's your goal to get to a point where your pottery is your business and it's your what are the words I'm looking for? It's like your bread and butter, like you sustain yourself off of your pottery. You don't want to start off by underpricing your work, because then even if you start to get really good sales, if you're not paying yourself a livable wage, you won't be able to survive off of it. That won't be able to be your primary income. There's that word I was looking for. That won't be able to be your income. So whatever market you're in, like, and that's why, friends, I don't want to give a dollar amount for this, because that fluctuates so much depending on where you live. But pay yourself a livable hourly wage, and then apply that amount of time that you spend on each of your pieces, and apply that wage to the price, okay? Or, you know, that can vary. Again, everything is always open to interpretation, right? But yeah, I think that's just a good starting place for that. And also you can kind of show and back up your pricing. Not that people are going to really ask very much, but you know, sometimes people will. So it's good just to kind of not be pricing your work just arbitrarily. It's good to have kind of a method that you can use and show, okay? And then from there, you can do even a little bit more refinement with your pricing by having variations depending on the quality of each piece. And that, I mean, this idea can get really difficult because judging the quality of an artwork is very subjective. But, you know, sometimes you will have like a really special piece that you spent extra time on, or you tried a new technique and it turned out really well, and you might want to increase the price a little bit. And then conversely, you may have a little bit more simple pieces that you want to decrease the price a little bit. So feel free to add or subtract to the piece depending on the quality that you think it has. If you think it's extra, charge extra. And yeah, and the other, you know, going in the other direction too, if you just kind of tried to keep it simple and produce a lot of something, maybe that would have a little bit of a lower price tag on it. So yeah, that's something that you can do with quality that you can kind of have ease with and play around with. And as long as you're not going too far above or below your normal pricing, you can have some variation with that and get a little bit more accurate with your pricing from piece to piece, okay? Now, last but not least, I just wanted to say, give yourself a raise every year with that labor cost, or just with your prices in general. So like hairstylists do, if you have a hairstylist that you've gone to for a long time, they might raise the price of their services $5 or $10 per year. You can do that, like an overall small price increase with your work every year, or you can increase that labor cost that we were talking about just a minute ago. But if you are building your skill and you're continuing to grow and improve and your work is evolving, yeah, give yourself a raise. There's no reason not to. And if your sales are good and you are progressing, and again, your work is evolving. So if you're kind of just stagnating and maybe you've gone through a season where you haven't been in the studio much, that might not be a good time to raise your prices. But if you've been working and changing and producing, go ahead and give yourself a raise on either one of those parts of your pricing. And yeah, that's just also another way to kind of steadily increase the value of your work, is if, you know, you kind of slowly increase your prices. You don't want to kind of be jumping around with that, because that, to your audience, that's going to seem a little strange. So a steady increase is good. I think that's going to wrap it up for our first pricing video. This was so difficult, friends, and I don't know why, but I've shot this probably 10 times over the last few days. So I hope that this kind of general overview is helpful for some of you, and any feedback that you have, as always, I would love to hear it because this is just such a nuanced topic. So thanks for joining. If you made it all the way to the end with me, I so appreciate you. And I look forward to seeing you again in 2 weeks. And I hope that it's a wonderful 2 weeks for you in the meantime, okay? And happy spring. Gosh, it's starting to get warm outside. It's been so nice. So anyway, go outside and enjoy if you can. And we'll see you later. Bye, Potters.